Oh my goodness, I've been trying to start this video. This is like the third time I'm restarting the video because some really squeaky car, like it was the most annoying sound that I've ever heard. So I had to stop the video and start over, and they just sat outside. I'm out on my patio and they just sat outside and were squealing. It was so annoying. And then it started to rain, and it's still kind of raining, but I think we'll be fine. So let's go ahead and begin. Welcome. My name is Holly. If you do not know me, I am a 7th grade math teacher and an avid reader. And this is, I think, day 7 of Vlogmas. So welcome back. Today we are going to do a little bit of a story time on how I almost ruined my own proposal twice. So I feel like that's very fitting for who I am as a person. Anyway, let's just dive into it. All of it will make sense once I'm done telling the story. But a little bit of backstory, a little bit of background, if you will. My husband and I met June of 2020. Not me getting upset at cars making noises when I'm sitting outside. We're gonna sit through it. Oh my gosh, and now there's children. This is a nightmare. Let's try this again. Take 4. Let's try this again. My husband and I met and started dating June of 2020, so like right when everything was happening with COVID. And then he actually left for the army in August of 2020. So we had only known each other for like 2 months before he left. And obviously we were relying on letters and we were writing letters back and forth. And then he unfortunately got injured while he was there. So he was medically discharged in December of 2020. So of the first 6 months of us knowing each other, we were only like physically in person with each other for 3 months of that. It was crazy. When he got home, we had talked a lot about marriage and stuff like that, so I knew that he was going to propose. I just didn't know when. We'd gone and looked at rings and stuff like that. So a little bit more time passes, and nearing June of 2021, which was like our 1 year of being together and knowing each other, I got a new job. And so I got a new job, and that weekend after starting my new job at a bakery, so I was super exhausted because I had to get up really early. And I don't know if y'all have ever worked at a bakery, but it's like really physically hard, especially when you're getting started because, anyway, details. But I was exhausted. And then that weekend, which was actually the anniversary of our first date weekend, I did D-Now. D-Now is basically a student ministry retreat type thing. So basically it normally happens in January, but since COVID and everything, they pushed it to the summer. So I was in college, so I actually volunteered to kind of lead a D-Now group. That's the annoying squealing I mentioned earlier. Oh my gosh. Please get your car fixed. Turn your car off. So I was volunteering at D-Now that whole weekend, so from Friday night to Sunday morning. And if any of you have ever been to D-Now or any sort of like student camp, you don't sleep and you are constantly going, doing something, very busy. So on Sunday, I was exhausted. I was so tired, both from working a week at my new job and then immediately doing D-Now. I was so tired. My husband and I at this time were kind of long distance. We lived like an hour and a half from each other, which I know is not really long distance, but we only really saw each other on the weekends. So we had just said like, oh, we'll just miss this weekend. Well, then on Sunday he texts me and he's like, actually, like, I really miss you. I want to see you. We should get dressed up and do a really nice date night. I don't know why that didn't send off alarm bells. I'm just blaming the exhaustion. My husband is not a let's dress up and do something kind of guy. He's very much a comfort over everything. And so I was like, no, like, I want to see you, yes, but like, I'm so tired. I just want to dress comfy and we can just meet each other halfway, whatever. And he was really pushing, like, no, I really want us to get dressed up. Let's go on this date. And I was like, I don't know, like I'm so tired. And he said, well, whatever. I mean, I was gonna propose to you, but the way I backtracked so fast, and I was like, no, please, I'm so sorry. Let's do it. I had been waiting to get engaged. Like, I was ready to marry this man. And I was like, no, wait, please, 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 let's still do it. I'll do it. And so we agreed to still go on a date, but he was like, no, I'm not gonna propose. Like, don't get your hopes up. I still got dressed up a little bit nicer just in case, but I was like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna go on this date. And right before I left, he was like, hey, do you still have all the letters that I sent you while I was in the army? And I was like, yeah, of course. He said, can you bring those? I want to look at something. That should have been another like signal to me that this was not just a normal date, because he never wants to talk about while he was in the army. Like, he did not have a good time. So I get dressed, I go, we meet halfway. He's so sweet. He recreated our first date. Isn't that so sweet? We met in the middle, recreated our first date, and then we go back to my car and we're just sitting in the car and he's like, hey, let me see those letters. Y'all, I left the letters at home. I did not even bring them. And he was just like, babe, you are just ruining this for me. I had thwarted his first attempt at a proposal, and then I didn't bring the letters. And the letters were important because, as I found out later, he explained to me that the first letter of each of the first 14 letters that he sent me, mind you, we sent these letters back and forth after knowing each other for 2 months. Okay, we'd only known each other for 2 months. The first letter on each of the letters spelled out, "Will you marry me?" Is that not the most romantic thing you've ever heard? I was in tears when I found this out because I could not believe it. And then I left the letters. He did propose anyway. He did propose that day in the car, and it was very, very sweet and very, very romantic. And I'll put some pictures up of us freshly engaged, proposed to, whatever. I did get home and immediately pull out the letters and spelled out, "Will you marry me?" And the fact that he was thinking that far ahead, that early on into our relationship, is just so true to his character now that I know him so much better. We've been married for 3 years now, and that is so him. He is very creative, very thoughtful, very romantic. But at the time, it was just such a shock to me because for him to be playing the long game like that, I don't know. It was astounding and so sweet. And I am just the luckiest person in the world to have such an amazing husband. And he puts up with me, someone who ruined her own proposal twice. But they were in very genuinely me ways, and he knew that and loved me anyway and still wanted to marry me. So we made it. We are also a internet dating success story. So if any of you out there are on those apps, it is possible. Works for us. With that being said, that is the end of my story and the end of this Vlogmas video. I hope that you are enjoying the holidays as they are approaching, and thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope you enjoyed my story, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.